Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Makakudash, and Babylon as unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations unto the 144,000, Shalom unto the brothers and sisters that preach in this truth, alright, the hopeful elect, alright. So, I want to get into this lesson here, as you saw the video here, which he made a very, very good point, without even having to go into it scripturally, right? Which I'm gonna get into, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai, right? So I'm just gonna draw a few points here, from the stories, with King Solomon, King David, and I'm also gonna mention, well, actually I can mention it now, right? Because based upon the point he was saying, as I say, which was very much on point, these women fail to realize that, we are the dominant ones. Some of them acknowledge it to the point that, we're physically stronger than them, mentally, physically, spiritually, all these things, but they still want to think they're self above because of the mindset that these devils enslaved in them, right? Now, what people, well, especially Christians, don't know, right, and they fail to realize is that when well, they believe anyway, so it won't even matter, right? But you see, when we go in the kingdom, having multiple wives is going to be necessary. You understand? And with King David as well as King Solomon, it kind of like we get like a taste of the kingdom of how it's going to be, because it was peace, especially with King Solomon with the 40 years he reigned for, it was peace, so that was like a little taste of the kingdom there, but guess what? King Solomon had many wives, and you see the story with these Christians that they like to spread is that, he got punished, for having multiple wives, as well as King David, and it's who it was. I think it was it Jacob? I think it's Jacob. Yeah, I think it's Jacob, because I was speaking about before I even knew the stories to these things well, So there was an individual that convinced me that they got punished for having multiple wives because they were against it, until I learned the truth about it and I realized, hey, they wasn't getting punished for having multiple wives, is what they did, which we're gonna read here, right? First with King Solomon, right? So it's here at the top, Solomon tunes from God, right? So this is First Kings 11:1. It says, but King Solomon loved many strange women, right? Meaning women from the other nation, which is, it says here, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go in unto them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods, right? Solomon cleaved unto these in love, right? So even though the Lord said don't go unto them, he still, like, he was admired by their beauty, right? Which goes back to the scripture that says, look not upon the beauty of a woman, right? Because, hey, women physical attraction is what what we as men more attracted to, because we don't need for a woman to be so smart or so strong. Those are characteristics a woman will look for in a man, you understand, more than physical appearance, to our point, right? Because physical appearance do matter to them as well, but they mainly look for knowledge, right? A man that could teach them something, a man who's superior to them in every way, right? But for us now, we look for somebody we can dominate then, and I don't mean that in a negative way, a submissive woman, who's obedient and listens to you, and know how to take instructions and whatnot, more in touch with our feminine side, as we will say in the world today, right? So verse 3 says, and he had 700 wives, princesses and 300 concubines, right? And his wives turned away his heart, right? So we're going to gain the understanding here now that, it's not that he had 700 wives, but because, I mean, if the Lord was going to punish him, why would the Lord wait until he have 700 wives then to punish him? You understand? Especially when he been ruling the kingdom so well, it been peaceful, even with his 7 wives. Not 7 wives, 700 wives never used to give him trouble. It's only when it's only seek, right? Which I believe those concubines were the same ones that the Lord tell him to stay away from, right? Because where it is, verse 3 here, where he had 700 wives, right? So he had 700 wives, right, and 300 concubines. So it's 1,000 wives he had, right? So the 300 concubines, they were what? Heathens, right? Because those are what you call the heathen wives, and them, their concubines are just like lesser wives then, because your real wives is those of your kin, women of your own nation, right? So they'll be your real wives. So the concubines will be falling under the Israelite woman, right? So you have 300 of those, but remember they have their own gods. So they were the ones that sway him in his old age, as we're gonna get here. So it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart not perfect with the Lord his power, as was the heart of David his father, right? So it shows you here that is when he gets into his old age, the wife swayed his heart to worship other gods. That's what he was punished for, right? Not having multiple wives, because it's not a sin to have multiple wives, right? Because I was going to bring it out later, but I could read it here as well. Exodus 21:10, it say, if he taketh him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall not diminish, right? The Lord didn't say you cannot take another wife. The Lord said if he taketh another wife, right? Because at the top here it says ordinances for the people, right? So here it basically saying if a man take another wife, right, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish, right? Let me see what it says in the alternations here, right? If you take it one of the KJV, let's see NLT. It say if a man who has married a slave wife takes another wife to himself, he must not neglect the rights of the first wife to food, clothing, and sexual intimacy, right? Yapa, that's right on point, right? And if he marries another woman, he must not deprive the first one of her food, clothing, and material rights, right? So this what is basically saying is that you can have a second wife, but you're not to neglect your first wife, the rights that she has, basically, especially if it's a concubine, right? Because as I mentioned before, a concubine is like a lesser wife, right? But if you have 2 Israelite wives, they basically you ought to love the 2 of them the same. Obviously, in your mind, you yourself might have a favorite, especially it's understandable if it's the first one, because why? You've been together so long with the first one, and the second one just came in, so you ain't build up that amount of love for her. But even so, though, like, show to the point where you make her feel unwanted or unloved, that could cause problem, right? But the thing about it is, it's not a matter of not having 2 wives or 3 wives. It's a matter of what you're doing using wisdom. You understand? So that goes back to here where the Lord basically punished King Solomon for, right? Now you could read on in the story to get how much is, but I don't want to make the video too long, right? So let's go to 2 Samuel here concerning King David, right? And I'm gonna try to read to the points, to basically shorten the video, as I said before, right? So you all can read this chapter as well. Well, really and truly, these books, are very good to read. It gives you a good understanding of what happened back then in King Solomon time and King David time, right? But it's 2 Samuel 5:12. It says, and David perceived that the Lord power, right, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai had established him king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom for his people Israel's sake. And David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he was come of Hebron, and there was yet sons and daughters born to David. And these be the names of those that were born unto him in Jerusalem: Shammua and Shobab and Nathan and Solomon, right? King Solomon here, right? Um, well, I'll just read out the rest of the names. Iba, also Elishua and Nepheg and Japhiah and Elishama, Elidia and Ephalet, right? Eliphalet, yeah, that's how it sounds, right? So basically, um, you see here, um, and what I like about this too is the fact that it say, and David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, right? Now we know the Lord know all things, right? So if the Lord know if he was gonna give King David this kingdom, right? If the Lord knew he was gonna give King David this kingdom, and when King David realized he would go and take more women, more wives, right, and it was a sin, why would the Lord even give him, such a great honor, if having multiple wives was sin? Because say he went and took him more wives than that means he had before, right? So if it was a sin to have multiple women, you know, then why wouldn't the Lord have punished him instead of making him king over all Israel? Think about it, you know, which leads me here too, right? 2 Samuel 2, and I read from 7. It says, and Nathan said to David, thou art the man, thus said the Lord power of Israel. I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul, right? And I gave thee my master's house, and thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and Judah, and if that had been too little, I would moreover have given thee such and such things, right? Because why here? There we find out in verse 9. It says, wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon, right? So this is what happened here now, right? Because King David, right, he saw Uriah's wife naked, and he started lusting after her, right? So adultery is a sin, right? So what he did, he deliberately sent Uriah to his death, on the front lines during the war, right? So when Uriah died, now he make Uriah's wife his wife. You understand? So he come like he was saying, he say he could get it out of that way, get adultery out of the way by doing that. You understand? But it's still wickedness. You come like you kill a man to get his wife, right? Because we know the scripture say, she no longer bound by the the law of a husband as long as he liveth, right? She no longer, as long as he dead, right? She no longer bound to his law as long as he dead, right? So as long as a man alive, she bound to the law of the husband. So he know that King David understand, he was a wise man, obviously. So he tell himself, if you're dead, he have all rights to go on to her. But the fact that you deliberately do it is what caused the problem. You understand? That's why the Lord punished him for, right? He punished him for the fact that he sent Uriah to his death, not that he had multiple wives. You understand? Because even Nathan said it here that, he in verse 8, I give thee my master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom, right? Because we just read in chapter 5 that, he took himself more wives. You understand? So the wives wasn't the sin. You understand? Now going here to 2nd Chronicles, right? Which is the son of Solomon, King Solomon, right? So it's a Rehoboam's family at the top, right? 2nd Chronicles 11:18. It's and Rehoboam. I keep saying that. And Rehoboam took him Mahalath, the daughter of Jeremoth, the son of David, to wife, and Abihail, the daughter of Elab, the son of Jesse, which bare him children, Jewish, whatever that pronounced, and Shemariah and Saham. And after he took Maacah, the daughter of Absalom, which bare him Abijah, Attai, Caesar, and Shelomith, right? And Rehoboam loved Maacah, the daughter of Absalom, above all his wives and his concubines, right? And here the point here too. It says, for he took 18 wives and 80 concubines, and begot 20 and 80 sons and 80 daughters, right? Now, the reason why I bring the scripture last two, right, is because it proves the fact even more that you can have multiple wives and whatnot, right? But I like the fact that how it broke down in the brackets there, that the amount of wives he had, as well as 20 and 80 sons and 80 daughters, right? So it tells you the amount of daughters and sons he had, right? Now there's many different stories that I could have brought out into this, right? But I just wanted to touch on the few pointers dealing with it, right? But the point about it with this scripture is the fact that it's showing you how much children he get by just 18 women, right? Now, thinking about it in the kingdom now, right? Because we know the kingdom have to be restored. But how the kingdom going to be restored? Because we know it's 144,000 men, right? And then the rest of the 1/3, right, which going to be made up of a lot of women, right? And even from on this side, because the scripture say women will be saved through childbearing, right? So of course they're going to have pregnant women in the chariots as well, you know. So it's come like they're going into the kingdom, with children, and we're gonna have men among the 1/3 too, you could say friends of the prophets in that sense, you understand? But yeah, it's like basically we're gonna have how much women to replenish the nation of Israel, because the Lord said 2/3 of his people are gonna die, you understand? 2/3 of it, you know how big the nation of Israel is. That's a lot of people we had to bring back, because the scripture says all of Israel shall be saved, right? But when they saved, they had to come back. But how are they going to come back? Through the elect, the remnant that the Lord saved. You understand? So this is the importance of having multiple wives. Now, I'm not saying, we have to get wives on this side right now. If the Lord supply you with 2 wives, 3 wives, whatever it is, and you can manage and the relationship good, hey, by all means. You understand? I'm not saying it wise to go and look for wife because you could. You understand? The scripture says not everything that is lawful is expedient, right? But hey, it's just to show the importance of having multiple wives. And hey, we're gonna have multiple wives in the kingdom. You understand? So I just wanted to touch on that as I saw this video, because hey, this man made a very, very good point. I really like this video. And from 144. Yeah, 144. So you don't know how it go. So this lesson was edifying through spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Till next time, Shalom.